Today's topic, question 3, the one where you analyze language. Need any help with other questions? After you finish here, you can catch up on the other questions in this paper. It's all waiting for you, neatly lined up on the Oxbridge GCSE Tutor channel. The full set like Pokemon cards, but actually useful. We'll help you stay on top of every English paper, every question, and all the sneaky tricks that examiners love to throw in when you're 3 pages from the end and dangerously low on brain juice. First up, the quick answer. Ideal if you've got 5 minutes and an attention span that resets every time someone opens a packet of crisps. Then we move on to the deep dive guide, a full detailed breakdown for anyone who wants to stop guessing and actually start understanding how to get top marks. Short first, deep later. Got it? Good. Let's get cracking. The quick guide to the AQA English Language Paper 2, question 3. This one's a language analysis question. That means you'll be looking closely at how a writer uses language. Not what they're saying, but how they say it. You'll be asked to analyze either source A, usually something from the 1900s, or source B, dustier, and usually from the 1800s. Your job? Pick out interesting language choices, explain the effect they have, and show the examiner you've got more to say than just Language analysis means analyzing the effect of keywords and techniques contained in quotes. This is a 12-mark question, so it's a quick question that should take you around 18 minutes to complete at around 90 seconds per mark. This means 10 minutes finding quotes and annotating ideas and 8 minutes writing them up. To be safe, make around 4 to 6 short analyses, or less if they're longer with lots of ideas about single quotes. More on this later. Here's the first example question. You're told to look at a specific part of source A. See? In this case, it's lines 12 to 23. That's your playground. Don't wander off. Why? Because if you take quotes from outside that section, you won't get any marks. None. Zilch. Even if the quote is brilliant and Shakespeare himself would have applauded it, still no marks. So read the question carefully. Then read it again. Highlight the keywords, ring them, draw a box around them, whatever helps. Just make sure you're clear on exactly where to look and what you're being asked to do. Right, let's break it down. Here are 7 simple steps to help you crack the AQA English Language Paper 2, question 3, and turn I sort of understand into, hey, I just got full marks and didn't even cry. The 7 steps are: Step 1, read the section of the text. Step 2, highlight quotes that are good examples of this tone, mood, and emotion. Step 3, underline keywords in your quotes on the extract. Step 4, think of the connotations of each keyword. Step 5, annotate your ideas onto the extract. Step 6, think of and label the techniques onto the extract. Step 7, write up your analyses using my easy formula. Right, let's blitz through steps 1 to 3 in one go. No waffle, just the good stuff. Step 1, read the section of the text. Sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised. Before you do anything else, make sure you know what's going on, what's being described, what's the overall feeling. Tense, angry, peaceful, dramatic? That's the tone, mood, and the emotion you're looking for. Highlight quotes that show that tone, mood, or emotion. We're talking short quotes here, ideally 3 to 5 words max. Think of them like snacks, not full meals, and don't just grab any old line. Pick ones with keywords you actually understand and can say something about. Step 3, underline the keywords in those quotes on the extract. That's where you zoom in. Which word in each quote is doing the heavy lifting? Underline it. That's the one you'll analyze later. So make sure it's worth talking about. Let's look closer at step 3. Underline keywords in all your quotes on the extract. What is a keyword? Keywords are the most powerful words in a quote that create either a more detailed image or emotion in the reader's mind. For example, this quote is taken from the questions extract, where the writer experiences a train crash and his suitcase falls down from the luggage shelf. In "the suitcase was cannonaded down," cannonaded is the key word because it has connotations of being fired from a war cannon, which adds detail about how the suitcase was moving. Cannonaded means to be fired from a cannon, which suggests the suitcase impacted with the force of a cannon explosion. Pause and read this to make sure it makes sense before continuing. Don't worry, there'll be many more quick examples of keywords in a minute, but also stick around for the full deep dive guide if you need more help. Up next is a worked example of steps 1 to 3. You'll see highlighted quotes that are good examples of tone, mood, and emotion, which is step 2. And step 3, underline keywords in all the quotes on the extract. Okay, in a moment, pause the video and take a minute to read the extract to yourself. Focus on how the crash is described, not the train itself, but the impact, the chaos, the drama. That's where the marks are hiding. You'll notice there are lots of good quotes, more than you need actually, so don't panic and think this is some kind of trick question. It's not. You just need to pick a few strong ones and stick to the method. Oh, and yes, I've left a few quotes out, and if you spot any extras that work well, drop them in the comments. Bonus points if you can say what they suggest about the train or the crash. Go on then, pause the video and have a read. I'll wait. Let's look at steps 4 and 5. Step 4, think of the connotations of each word. Step 5, annotate your ideas onto the extract. Let's look at step 4. This is where the real magic happens. The more ideas you come up with here, the more you'll have to say when you write your answer. Don't jump straight into writing, get your ideas sorted first. No plan equals messy answer. Take your time, dig into the connotations of the key words. If you do this properly, you're on your way to getting top grades. Think of the connotations of each key word. These must link to the question about description. Try to link them to the tone, mood, and emotion too. What is a connotation? Connotations are ideas and/or emotions that link to a particular word. In the previous example, we've seen that the key word in the suitcase was cannonaded down was cannonaded. But what are the connotations of this word? Because cannon is a large, powerful weapon, it has also connotations of feeling under attack, being hugely powerful, a life-threatening impact. If you can think of any more connotations, drop them in the comments below. Remember to take time at this stage. Don't rush your head into writing your paragraphs without decent ideas. The more you come up with now in this part, the better your answer will be, and the fewer paragraphs you'll need to churn out. This is a short guide, so I'll stop the examples there. If you want more, keep watching. The deep dive guide goes through the connotations of every quote I picked out one by one. It's like this, but with extra layers and slightly fewer jokes. Okay, time for step 5. Annotate your ideas onto the extract. For each key word, note down 1 or 2 ideas near each one. You can use a short arrow or line pointing to each keyword if you want. Instead of making separate mind maps for every keyword, let's be honest, no one's got time for that. Just scribble your ideas straight onto the extract like this. It's quicker, clearer, and actually useful. Step 6. Think of and label techniques onto the extract. Now, it's time to think. Never look for techniques first, you might technique spot. Technique spotting is pointing out techniques that have nothing to do with the question or that are not fully analyzed for effect. Annotate your techniques onto the extract like this. If you need more help on techniques, stick around for the deep dive guide in a few minutes. Finally, step 7, write up your analyses using my easy formula. Writing a language analysis paragraph can sometimes feel like trying to nail a jelly to a wall. So here's a math-style formula to help you get it right every time, minus the drama and guesswork. So here's the magic formula. Technique name, keyword, in quote, implies, suggests, connotations, plus effect. Now let's take a look at exactly how this works. The technique name, the metaphor, keyword, or sometimes more than one keyword. In very rare circumstances, you might have to analyze 2 keywords together. Here we have little world, and we'll only end up repeating ourselves needlessly. But do try to analyze keywords individually whenever you can. Use in to introduce your quote. My little world was tilted drunkenly, but make sure it makes sense grammatically. The formula works about 99% of the time, but now and then you'll need to tweak it. Don't be a robot, and definitely don't say Oxbridge Tutor told me to. That won't save you. Back to the formula. Implies or suggests. Keep rotating through these. Use one, then the other. Examiners are fine with that. Connotations, which are, as you can see, that the shock and present danger of the accident made any other concerns in the writer's life disappear in that moment. And then finally, we can link connotations to effect and shrunk his focus to that incident. Here, because it's a metaphor, which is an imagery technique, we focus on the image that it creates. At other times, it could be an emotional effect on the reader. Different techniques have different effects. Pause here and make sure the effect makes sense to you. See, it's quite easy. Let's quickly look at another example. Technique name, the juxtaposition, keyword sprawled in, quote, sprawled foolishly, implies or suggests, let's go with implies, connotations, weakness, plus effect, and contrast with its earlier powerful image implied by express. You can add extra keywords like this. Technique name, the personification, keyword, which is foolishly, let's use suggest this time. Connotations, which are, it has been punished for being irresponsible, and finally, effect, which is creating a humorous tone. How many paragraphs should I write in total? Make sure you write enough to cover yourself in case some of your ideas don't quite land. Writing in a compact way like I do cuts out the waffle and focuses on the extract, giving examiners more chances to hand you marks. Aim for 6 paragraphs if they're short, each with just one keyword and technique. However, you can write fewer though if they're packed with ideas like the juicy keyword-loaded paragraph on the screen right now. Here are the 7 steps again. If you haven't already, pause the video and jot them down. Keep them next to you and tick them off as you go through enough past papers to make them second nature, like dodging group work in class. And that's the short guide for those of you in a rush. Next up, the deep dive guide. Buckle up and get ready to understand things that passed you by in years 7 to 11 when you were probably zoning out. Welcome to the full deep dive guide. All right, so I threw a lot at you there. Let's slow everything down. Let's look at the various parts in detail. If you already know what we're covering, feel free to skip ahead at any time. There are 2 ways to do this. Okay, number 1, did you know you can skip backwards and forwards 5 seconds at a time by tapping left and right on the keyboard arrows or by double tapping either side of the screen on a phone? Easy. You can also skip totally to the next or a particular section by using the timestamps listed in the video description below. Click on them to jump to or revisit any sections that you need. Still going too fast or too slow for you? Did you know you can also adjust the video speed in the settings like this? If there's anything else that you want explained better, drop it in the comments. It'll help me decide what to make next. Welcome to the full deep dive guide for question 3 of the AQA English Language Paper 2. Here are those 7 steps again. We'll go through them with full explanations this time. Read the section of the text. Let's be honest, most people, kids, adults, your mate who never has a pen, find reading a bit of a slog. So they skim, they skip, they guess, and then wonder why they haven't got a clue what's going on. A small percentage read carefully and actually pay attention. These people tend to go far. Top grades, big jobs, better sneaks. So there's a painfully obvious truth. If you don't read properly, you won't understand. Most people who struggle with English simply don't read things properly. You don't ignore numbers in maths, so why would you ignore reading words in English? The first time you read an extract, do it line by line, in order. No skipping, no jumping, no, I'll just glance at the end. Yes, you'll probably have to go back later to find specific details for other questions. That's when it's fine to skim or scan. But if you skim the first read, your brain builds a confused version of events. And once that version's in, it's hard to shake it loose. This is how you should read in an English exam. Read slow enough to understand. The English subject tests your comprehension, which means your understanding. Begin at the beginning, obviously, and read each sentence in order, also obvious. Trying to understand what is happening. You need to read over a text several times in an exam. The first time you read a text, also read slow enough to make sure you understand what is happening in each sentence, but not so slowly that you run out of time. Skipping large chunks of text is not reading quicker. The more you skip, the less you'll know and the lower your mark. Don't skim yet, or read the sentences out of order. Sounds mad, I know, but loads of you jump around the text and end up confusing yourselves, usually because you're rushing or just don't fancy reading properly. But examiners know this. They design questions to trip up people who skim and guess. Don't make it that easy for them. Did you know you can build your reading speed every day just by reading patiently and making sure you understand what you're reading? Yes, even on social media, in chats, signs, or those instruction leaflets, everyone pretends not to read. If you skim everything, you'll build habits that are hard to unlearn. Skimming has its place, but not when you're trying to actually get something. Number 2, create an ever-changing image in your mind of the characters or setting as you read. If you visualize what we read, it makes it easier for us to firstly understand and then remember what's going on. When most of us read, we play a little movie in our head that shows us the characters, what they might look like, the setting they're standing in, and where they might be in relation to each other, and much, much more. Now, if your movie is faint, you'll have to practice working on making it more detailed by reading more deliberately, ensuring that every word and sentence you read adds or changes that movie in your head as you go along. Try pausing for a split second at the end of every sentence and think how the last sentence changes the movie slightly. If you're still struggling with this and you want some more help, then let me know in the comments. 3. Don't ignore words. You might have been told by a teacher that in an exam you should try to guess the meaning of words you don't know by looking at the surrounding words for clues. This is good advice for an exam, but it's not what you should do at any other time. In daily life, make it a habit of using a dictionary, so when you get to your exams, there'll be less need to guess. You should really be able to use a dictionary, but there are many other ways to do this. Just ask Google Assistant, Siri, or whatever else you have on your phone. I know it can be complicated, especially when they use words in the definition that you also don't understand. Again, if you need help with dictionaries, then let me know in the comments. 4. Summarize in your head what you've just read. You should be able to summarize roughly the key events or ideas from a text. If you can't, then practice doing this daily in whatever you read. To summarize, read a paragraph, pick out the key ideas. This means understanding what's important to your needs in that moment. For instance, if you're answering a question, then look for evidence to that question. If you're trying to work out what is happening, then focus on the actions and perhaps what characters are saying. If you're trying to build up an image of a scene, then pay attention to the descriptions. Reword the key ideas of the paragraph in a simple sentence that captures what you need to know. This is called paraphrasing. If you need a full tutorial on this, well, guess what? Stick it in the comments. And if we get enough votes, I'll make a tutorial. Okay, pause the video and read the short extract from source A. Yes, English is about reading and writing. Shocking, I know. So slow down, take your time. And whenever you're practicing, don't be afraid to look things up. That's not cheating, that's being clever. As you read, keep the question in mind, how does the writer describe the train crash? Look out for anything that helps you answer that. Pause at the end of every sentence and build and develop that picture in your mind. Right, pause the video now, read the text. I'll be here when you're done. Step 2, highlight the best quotes. Teachers often say best quotes. But what exactly does make a quote the best when analyzing language? It answers the question. Hopefully, you understand the quote. It contains powerful keywords that you have great ideas for. It contains one or more language techniques. Examiners expect top students to consider quotes from across the text and then pick the very best ones. It's really obvious if lazy readers grab the first quotes they see because most of their quotes come from one section of the text. Here's the extract fully highlighted. You'll see each quote answers a question, contains powerful keywords, and also contains techniques. We'll see what these techniques are later in step 6. To help you spot other quotes in the future, pause the video and read the text and think how each quote does these 3 things. I want you to understand that the examiners always put lots of quotes in there, so don't just go for the first one you see or give up too quickly. Step 3. Underline the keywords in your quotes on the extract. What is a keyword? Let's quickly recap what a keyword is. In case you've forgotten, keywords in a quote are words that help create a more detailed image and add emotion. We saw in the quote jarring followed by a crash, the keywords were jarring and crash because they help create a more detailed image and add emotion. Don't worry, we're going to look over connotations of keywords in the next section. Just take my word for it for now. But these words are implying these things. Look at the key words I've underlined here. Our brains are secretly attracted to quotes because of the key words they contain. Each keyword helps to suggest deeper ideas or emotions, building a stronger image and mood. This is what we call dramatic effect, if we're being fancy. Pause the video right now, try to guess why I picked these quotes and what each keyword suggests or implies about the accident. Did you pause and go through the keywords? Gold star if you did, but we learn way more when our brains are actually doing something. Wild, I know. So if you skip the last task, back you go. It'll make everything that follows far less painful. Ready now? Good? Let's crack on. Step 4, think of the connotations of each keyword. Now, we discussed how this is the most important part of the process and we should never rush it. Connotations are the ideas and emotions a keyword hints at. The more you find, the better your analysis will be and the higher your mark. Simple. Skip this step and your analysis will be vague, your mark will be low, and your examiner will not be impressed. A quick reminder, connotations are ideas and or emotions that link to a particular word. Like this, The suitcase that cannonaded down. Cannonaded meant life-threatening impact, feeling under attack, or like a huge gun in a war zone. In jarring followed by a crash, jarring suggests a sudden and violently vibrating force. Crash allows readers to almost hear the impact, creating tension through realism. One more. In my little world was tilted drunkenly. Little world implies that he was focused entirely on the crash, whereas drunkenly suggests he's disorientated and cannot think clearly. Because this is a deep guide, here are two tables packed with every single quote that I analyze from the extract, with each keyword explored for you. Hopefully this will give you ideas in the future when you try to make connotations of different words. Don't skip this because I think you need to see lots of examples. The more you see, the more you will realize what needs to be done and everything will begin to make sense. Also, and as you read, ask yourself, do the connotations that I suggest actually make sense to you? Try explaining them in your own head, in your own words, before moving on. This might take 5 or even 10 minutes, but that's fine. Learning isn't a race. You're here because you want to work out how to do this stuff. So take the time and get it done. I'll be waiting. This is the first of 2 short tables. Pause the video and look through to see what kinds of connotations can be linked to each key word. And here's the second. Does this make sense to you? Can you think of any other connotations? Post them below. Pause the video now. Right, time for step 5. Step 5, annotate the ideas onto the extract. For each keyword, note down 1 or 2 ideas near each one. Okay, let's skip through this very quickly. So we saw how you can annotate your ideas onto the extract, like this. But because this is a deep guide, I want to talk about the rules of annotations. Only write 1 or 2 words that will hopefully remind you when you come around to writing up your answer. Don't write mini paragraphs onto the extract, or you're going to run out of time. Okay, let's crack on to step 6. Think of and label techniques onto the extract. Never ever look for techniques first. This is a big mistake that a lot of students make, and you'll end up technique spotting. This is when you are pointing out techniques that have got absolutely nothing to do with the question or are not even analyzed for effect. When annotating and after you have thought about keywords, think about what techniques, if any, are present in each quote. You don't need to know lots of random or rare techniques, just a few really common ones. Now, there is no real substitute to learning literary techniques, how to spot them, and being able to explain their effects. Now, I can't really go into a full guide here about techniques, but for everything you need to know on literary techniques, check out my other videos or visit my amazing website, www.oxbridgegcsetutor.com. In the upcoming examples, the following techniques come up: metaphor, personification, sensory language, onomatopoeia, alliteration, idiom, emotive language, hyperbole, and juxtaposition. Now, here's a handy table of these techniques that were taken from this extract. By year 9, 10, 11, you really should know what these techniques are. Look them up on my website if you need to. Column 2 of this table tells you how to explain and analyze them. If you look at metaphor and simile, you'll see that because they are imagery techniques, in other words, they create powerful images, all you have to do is explore the image that is created by the connotations of the key words. There's a little bit more help too. In column 2, I give you the definition as well as how to analyze the effects of each one in column 3. Pause the video for each of the following tables, take a screen grab or create a note of these and keep them handy whenever you are practicing language analysis. Pause the video now. Pause the video now as well and read the information. And finally, pause here too. Remember these effects because we're about to use them on some quotes. Okay, time to label some techniques onto the quotes that we found earlier in this guide. Here are all those techniques and their effects applied to the quotes that I found. I'm not going to read them out to you. Instead, you should take a moment, pause the screen, and look at how I've picked out the techniques in yellow and how I explain the effects in green italics. It's important that you try to understand this for yourself. The green comments are the effects of the techniques that I just gave you a minute ago, here, here, and here. Pause the video now. Here are some more techniques analyzed for effect in note form. We will write them up as proper paragraphs in the next step. If you spot any techniques that I miss, drop them in the comments, and if you can, analyze the effect as well. Pause the video now. Step 7, write up your analyses. Okay, so you've highlighted the quotes, worked out and annotated your connotations, and even labeled your techniques. Now it's time to write your quotes. Okay, so we saw this formula in the short guide. Remember, you need to write 4 to 6 analyses of these short ones, or less if they're longer with lots of key ideas, with lots of analysis about single quotes. Here's the formula, remember? Don't panic, it will make sense in a minute. Looked at some examples in the short guide. Let's take a look at some more now quickly to see how the formula works. Technique name, the use of sensory touch. Keyword, jarring, in, quote, jarring followed by a crash. Let's use implies this time. Connotations, the accident was a sudden and violently vibrating force. Plus effects, creating tension. The use of sensory touch, jarring in jarring followed by crash, implies the accident was a sudden and violently vibrating force, creating tension. That sounds pretty good. Let's expand the analysis with another keyword to pick up some more marks. Okay, we're going to use the same formula, but this time we don't need to repeat the main quote because that will be bonkers. We just need to state the main quote once and then zoom into the keywords afterwards. I'll show you, look. Technique name. This time it's the onomatopoeia. Keyword is crash. Let's use suggests. Connotations, a sound that allows readers to almost hear the impact. Finally, let's add the effect, which is adding tension through realism. And here's the final paragraph. Pause the video and read. And that's all 7 steps of the deep dive guide. Well done, you made it through the short guide and the deep dive guide. But now what? What should you actually do next? You probably will need to rewatch parts of this video, but this time pause and jot down key things that you need to learn as you go along. You can always come back later and revisit any of the tricky bits. The timestamps in the description make jumping to the right section easy, even if your brain's given up for the day. Practice, practice, practice. For your first practice, why not try the question we just covered in the video? It's a solid first attempt, and obviously you don't peek at the answers while you do it. Just see what you remember from the guide, then spot what you missed or find new ideas using my help. I've included links to the exam paper in the description below. Keep these steps beside you when you practice past paper questions until they become part of the way to do things. Time yourself. Once you've nailed this first easy practice, start working through the other past papers against the clock. Time pressure changes everything. Remember, this is a 12 marker, so that's around 18 minutes. 8 minutes to read and annotate, and 10 minutes to write up your magical answer. Number 5, the big one, don't be a lazy reader. Read properly and in order. High-level English doesn't just appear in your brain overnight. Still stuck? Want your revision organized for you? Take my short course. Everything you need to nail the paper and get the grade you actually want. Now, these videos take over 50 hours to research, write, and make. So if you do take the course, a big thank you. You're supporting the channel. So head over to Oxbridge GCSE Tutor to check out all the extra help waiting for you there. Hit subscribe, tap the bell for quick access to everything that will help you smash your GCSEs. Got a topic you want covered? Drop it in the comments. Now, here's some videos you should definitely watch next.